guys, so episode 3 of our Epic Universe podcast are doing our full breakdown from start to finish. If you haven't checked out either of those episodes yet, I'm going to put a little bloop at the top right now to go back for one, then right after I'll put a bloop to go back and check out two. But this is the wrap up. This is the end of all things Epic Universe. And then from now on, Alicia Stella and I are just going to be diving into the updates. We're going to be keeping you guys updated as this project goes on. But I'm excited for this one because we are about to go into Wizarding World stuff at the park. And I know what you're thinking. Like, Universal has done so much already with the Wizarding World. What else can they do at this point? And I really like how Alicia Stella put it on her. And I remember you kind of said this. You said this is like the end of the story. This is how Universal is putting the bow on things and completing, the entire story that they have built for so long now over the last decade, right? Like, is that true? Like, this is just truly like the bow on top. This is how they are completing and wrapping up everything.
Well, the main attraction for this land, they've been working on and they've been workshopping and they've been blue sky, like thinking about since they started working on Diagon Alley. So this has been a long time coming for the main attraction on this land. But the actual land itself is almost like our own wizarding journey now and a way to explore new wizarding lands. The land itself is Wizarding France, and we can now see that in construction updates. Looking at the land, we see that it matches the land as seen in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. But those films didn't really resonate with audiences the way that the Harry Potter series did. So the main attraction here is still set in the Harry Potter era, but the land itself is almost going to be like our own, like a land for us to explore. It's not going to be something we're going to necessarily recognize from the films. Although the set design, who's it, Stuart Craig? The guy who does the set design for the Harry Potter films and then the Fantastic Beasts films, he does such an amazing job that I'm kind of glad we get to explore this world because it barely was on screen for that movie. Yeah. This is Wizarding France featuring Place Cachée, with we just saw pictures from BioReconstruct on Twitter. They're starting to construct the arch that is the entry, the Porte Saint Denis arch in Paris, and it is massive. It is on a scale that you don't usually see in theme parks. These city facades, the actual street, the buildings on the side of the street, are twice as tall as Diagon Alley's buildings. This is a real feeling of being inside. This isn't like Epcot France Pavilion where it's not that tall. These are actual scale buildings, and it's to cover up the giant building for the ride. And the restaurants here and stuff are normal scale, but the exterior facades of it are twice as tall. So it really feels like apartments go on for 5-10 stories above you. So I'm really intrigued by maybe they were forced by Warner Brothers to make this land from Fantastic Beasts, and they're going to do the best, make the best of it. We're going to have creatures and windows and Fantastic Beasts around if the plans are still the same. But also we're going to get a French bakery. We're going to get things that you would see at the Epcot France Pavilion, which is kind of neat. I'm kind of excited about having there's a London at Universal Studios Florida. We have New York streets at Universal Studios Florida, Hollywood. This will be the first time Universal Creative gets to build France. So in a way, it's kind of neat that it worked out this way. And we still get the Harry Potter ride at the back of the land. But I was looking at the Wikipedia for Place Cachée to see what kinds of things we might get here. It's essentially like Diagon Alley, but in Paris. And they have their own wand shop instead of Ollivanders. They have, I'm going to try to say it, Baguette Magique Cosme Acajor. Cosme Acajor is a guy who makes wands just like Ollivander, and Baguette Magique just means magic wand, but I love that it's baguette. And wand. They designed these triangle boxes, and they're again in the background of a scene and blurry as the camera whooshes by, so you don't get to see them in the movie, but there's these cute little triangle boxes, orange boxes that the wands come in, and it's an excuse to make a whole new series of shops. So I'm intrigued by it, but I'm really excited about the main attraction for this. But there's also a second attraction that in the permits is a stage show. It has at least 640 seats.
What are we expecting for this stage show? I mean, I don't know if they're ready to dive into that already, but now that we're already on the subject, I'm curious what we're even looking at for this.
It's rumored that you would enter this theater through the Circus Arcanus tent, which is also in that area in the second Fantastic Beasts film.
Sure.
I don't know if the land takes place in the 1920s like the film did, or 1930. But I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they're still doing this wizarding circus 100 years later. Well, why not?
Right.
But I do like the idea that you enter this really small circus tent, and on the inside, it's huge, like 20 times as big inside. And I like the concept that it looks like it's just out in front of a building in the street, but it's actually taking us into that building. And instead of apartments, it's actually a giant open space, like a holding area. And then you go into the actual theater. The theater is like 5 stories tall, according to permits. So it's a pretty big space. But it only has, 642 is nothing to laugh at. But I'm wondering.
Sure.
If this will be a continually moving show to get more people in there. And that's why the holding space is so big. It's almost like an open queue. No idea what the show would be. I don't know if it's related to the circus or if that's just an entry point. There's been tons of speculation that maybe it's some kind of wand battle or even interactive experience where they pull up someone on stage or 2 people on stage and have them battle with different wands. So it's like Ollivanders, but like taken to another level. Instead of like 10 people in a room, it's 600 people in a room.
Yeah. Cool.
And there's patents for like interactive wand battles where they use real plasma rays of electricity to make it look like you're shooting like actual like magic out of your wand, and they have like a piece of glass in the middle, so it looks like a wand battle, and the glass moves left or right like tug of war as you win or lose the battle based on how good your like mannerisms are with the wand. So I think it would be a really neat way to sell more wands if you had a chance to go up on stage and like learn how to do it and then see it happen. I would love to see that patent come to fruition, but I could be completely wrong, and that's different for something else, and this could just be some story-driven stage show. We don't know yet.
I mean, that patent feels like the next step to like what wands need at this point, right? Like we've had everything in terms of like interactivity and like adding them to windows and just things around the park. This next step, being able to see like casting a spell, like that is the next step for wands, isn't it?
I really think so. It's so interesting to think back to when Hogsmeade first opened, the first Wizarding World of Harry Potter. The line for Ollivander was way out the door. And back then, they didn't do anything. You were just buying a wand because wands were cool. And then when Diagon Alley opened, then wands suddenly interacted with things around the land, and they backwards compatible, like made Hogsmeade also have things in the windows. And when they built them in Hollywood and different in Japan and other places around the world, and that they always open now with the interactive wands. Yeah. But there was a time we didn't have that. So I think this could be an opportunity for this land to open with a new, like Generation 3 wand that does even more, and then make the lands backwards compatible around the world to these new wands.
If they pull this off, that would be such a cool thing. We were so easy to please back then too. We just enjoyed the novelty of, being able to actually go to Ollivanders and just pick up a wand.
Right.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
even that in itself was just so cool.
Nowadays, it's like, it's not good enough to go window to window and see things move around. I want to see electricity coming out of my wand. I want to know it's real.
Yeah, we have definitely evolved as, I guess, theme park guests and what our demands are at this point. Like, we want the magic. We want it.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation after things like Super Nintendo World now, where a power-up band unlocks extra attractions within the land. Yep. I think there is an expectation for things to be not just interactive, but like more really letting us be a part of the story.
In terms of things that I know were planned for this, there was, I guess, one more extra attraction that was originally going to be on the backside of this land. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
The virtual reality attraction once. I mean, the theater show looks like it's part of Wizarding Paris, and the other attraction that would have been a part of Wizarding Paris on the right side of the land, just to the right of the theater, was going to be the French Ministry of Magic. And you would enter the French Ministry as seen also in the Fantastic Beasts film. Yep. And you would be... I think you were going to be testing out a broomstick, like you were in the ministry and like, come to this room and we're going to be testing out the newest blah, blah, blah broomstick or whatever. Yeah. But then Newt Scamander would come in and he we need help to stop the Obscurus from destroying Paris, and you would fly with him. But the idea that this would be a high capacity virtual reality attraction. I'm not talking augmented reality where you see like real life, but also stuff on top like Mario Kart, but full on goggles block your view and you're riding on a broomstick and you get to control how you fly, and like you can wobble and wibble your broomstick around and you are the one controlling it in real time. To do it on the scale for a theme park, the plans showed 144 virtual reality pods.
Sheesh.
In smaller groups of like 6. So you would go into like a pre-show room. It would teach you how to use it. You'd be given the headset just like on Mario Kart, and then you would attach through magnets the big VR thing while you're seated on this broomstick in your groups of 6, and you would actually see visual representations of the other people in your party cool. While you fly around Paris. And this attraction was canceled here at Epic Universe. I think because they didn't want to. I'm assuming they didn't want to incorporate Fantastic Beasts stories and characters. So poor Newt Scamander was like left out in the cold. Yeah. And instead, they were going to move it over to Universal Studios Florida and do it as a Harry Potter attraction and have us fly on a broomstick with the original like characters from the Harry Potter stories. But it got canceled there too. And I can only assume it's because either A, new management came into Universal Creative and didn't want to do something that's, again, screen-based, although it's strapped to your face. Sure. Or B, it would have been a staffing nightmare to have a different team member in every like room of 6, and then team members working on cleaning the goggles and team members working on giving everyone their headsets. It's not like a ride path where everyone gets in the same Mario Kart ride and goes around the 2 tracks. These are a lot of pods. So it would have been a lot of team members. I think I did the math. It was like 50 or 60 team members any given time working inside the building, let alone greeter and queue and all that. So I can see why they probably canceled it, but looking at the plans now for Epic Universe, the site plan still shows the entrance and the entry facade and the city streets facade for this building as being built. But the entrance, like literally, it has a building number, but it's just the little foyer, and then it goes to nothing. It just dead ends into an empty space the size of the other attraction for this land, the big ride. And that's the biggest ride in the park. So they have enough room in this Potterland to expand with the biggest ride in the park if they want to later. Which someone told me they might do sooner rather than later.
I think that would make a lot of sense, and they should. In terms of scrapping a VR attraction, if things like for this world in general have been in development for quite some time now, I almost wonder if this comes back to like what we were talking about even earlier with the wands and like our demands as guests kind of like rising every single year based upon what parks have been giving us. Like, no disrespect to whatever Universal would have built with this, but to me, at least, when I think about VR, I feel like it had a novelty. Like when it first came out, like people like thought it was kind of cool, and then it went super mainstream, and now a nice percentage of households around the world have some sort of VR product probably in their house, whether it's a Meta Quest or whatever it might be. And then also the third thing is like you can go experience a VR attraction like at Dave & Buster's. Like, right. And I don't know how much different a theme park could have done it. I mean, because at the end of the day, you just have this thing strapped on your head. Of course, they could give you like some sensorial experiences, whether it be like through wind or heat or smell or whatever it might be. But again, those are all things Dave & Buster's can do.
And there's even the Harry Potter store in New York even has a VR experience where you get to fly on a broomstick. So like this already kind of exists, and it may have stolen some of the thunder, and that might have played into it too. But yeah, like you said, also VR is constantly changing and evolving year after year. So it would have been interesting to see it open, but then also it would have to be upgraded regularly. It could be like a money suck. Like it could have been something that if they wanted to. And also live graphics can only do so much. I think Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run does a pretty good job. I think they use the Unreal Engine. They do a really good job of rendering it in real time, but you can only go so far. And once you start introducing human characters into the situation in a like real-time rendered video game type program, you can only take that realism so far, and it probably wouldn't match the quality of the like 3D and like real actors of something like Gringotts. So I wonder if that plays into it too. It just wouldn't be as, like you said, like you can do it at Dave & Buster's, and I feel like it would kind of feel like that. So I'm interested to see what they do instead here.
I think VR kind of has a box that can't be expanded upon in the way of like an AR technology or something like that. Like you can only go so far with it just because all of your visuals are taken up through this screen, right? So you're basically just immersed into that. And it kind of takes away what theme parks have going for them versus someone like a Dave & Buster's, which is the fact that they can build massive elaborate sets and they can invest a lot of money into a bigger experience. When at the end of the day, when you have this thing strapped on your head, there's really not much more that you can do outside of, you could try to render some real life things like people around you in, and that could be like the difference maker. Mm-hmm. But if the technology picks up and Meta puts on cool enough sensors and things, and that even goes mainstream, like that's something even Dave & Buster's could probably figure out as well.
Yeah, and I think maybe it would work as like a city walk thing, like the escape rooms where they do a VR thing. Like I think that maybe works. It
feels more in that realm.
Yeah, and it's more of a boutique thing, and you pay for it extra, and you have a lower capacity. You don't try to do something that's maybe a little too ambitious for a theme park. But yeah, like AR on Mario Kart, at least their Mario Kart is like cartoon characters from a video game. You don't have to render in the actual actor for Fantastic Beasts and make him look photoreal in real time. So it makes it a little easier.
Well, AR is the way too, because it still lets you take advantage of what you're good at as a theme park. Like it just overlays over the elaborate sets and attraction that you've built, right? Like it's a totally different experience that actually enhances and just adds to what you can do as a major theme park operator. And that's why I think AR is such a cool potential, potential utility even going into the future. I'm curious to see if people really like this Mario Kart stuff. And if the technology continues to improve from a field of view and graphic and all that kind of standpoint, if any old attractions will be retrofitted, or just how many attractions even going forward into the future will end up getting this technology. Because to me, I don't know how you feel about it, but to me it feels a little more, I don't know the word I'm looking for, whether it's just immersive or it's just cooler or maybe it's just a novelty because it's so new still. But it feels a little more forgiving than something like 3D. Like everyone got to the point where like, I'm tired of 3D screens at Universal parks. It feels a little more forgiving in the sense of like it feels like an actual enhancement to what's going on, and I'm hopeful that's the general sentiment as well that ends up coming out of the reception of Mario Kart. We'll see, of course, time will tell, but I'm hopeful because I personally really enjoyed it.
Well, we talked about Pokemon, like they were contemplating doing an arena show, a battle arena show with Pokemon using AR glasses. So everyone in the audience sees the Pokemon battling in the same place on the stage, and all the effects and the water and fire and electricity and everything you're seeing is happening in real life and AR. There's this moment on the Spider-Man ride that I love when he says like things are just starting to heat up, and the 3D screen it like makes it look like he's got this like fire thrower thing, but in the real life like room the whole lighting changes to accommodate like to make the 3D more real, and you'll never notice it because you're paying attention to the action on the screen, but that real lighting change in the physical realm is so important to selling the concept of the 3D moment. And an AR battle, like in Pokemon, if the whole lighting is always changing to accommodate like the flashes of electricity coming from Pikachu or something, like it would really sell the reality of these things being right there in front of you. But also it allows it to be like adaptable and changeable, and the outcome of the situation can be different every time you see the show. It's not set in stone. It's not pre-rendered. It's happening for real, and it might allow for interactivity from the kids in the audience. So yeah, I think the future definitely, at least for these video game based rides, AR is like just getting started.
So exciting to think about. I've blue skied, and I've thought even to myself, like, what could AR be if it, was mass adopted and everyone had one, even like in their own possession, right? Like if whatever Apple's product ends up being, or whoever makes it, right, it ends up being like a mass mainstream product that's just as common as our phone. Like I've wondered, like, what park is going to do it first to where whatever land that you're walking through is all AR enabled, like in real time.
I'm waiting for like nanobots to create like physical AR, like augmented reality exteriors for buildings can change for the holiday.
Oh my
God.
The
holidays, instead of decorating your house for the holidays, like the little laser dots, like that, like people would be lazy to stick the laser dots in the front yard. Imagine like an AR without glasses, where the whole front of your house can look like Santa's workshop or something because of some kind of weird holographic technology. That's the future. Every facade will just be a boring blank gray facade, and then you AR project on a fake building front, and you can change it like on a whim. That'll be the future.
That is definitely the future.
So, speaking of what theme parks do well with large, immersive, actual physical experiences, there is one ride that is actually being built in the Wizarding World, and we can see it, and it is huge. Absolutely. It's the reason that the buildings are so tall and the facades for this land, just to hide this massive building. And we're looking at this, like the streets that you walk down, and how it's like 5 stories tall to hide this building. But then if you look at where the ride is at the back of the building, it's even taller. Like, this is the biggest indoor ride at this park. And it's believed that it will be based on the British Ministry of Magic, as seen in the Harry Potter films.
Can you think of a comp or a bigger one anywhere else?
I think it's like the Transformers building, if it wasn't stacked, maybe. Like, I'm trying to like think of it. It's if you just look at the ride path alone, it's comparable to many other attractions like Spider-Man, although taller than Spider-Man, or even Gringotts. But the building keeps going another twice as big for the entry and queue areas alone, which is not usual for these types of attractions. Something like Transformers stacks half the ride on top of the queue. This one, all the queue areas and all the entry stuff is in front of the ride building, and then the ride building itself is just the load area and the ride building, and it is massive. And I think that a lot of that has to do, like that whole front half has to do with the experience of getting into this building. And I think I've compared it to it before, but they're going for a wow moment that's like the Rise of Resistance Hangar Bay. A wow moment.
Cool. I've been waiting for Universal's take on this, so let's hear it.
And they've been working on it, and they've been trying to design this since before that ride opened. So I'm very interested. It's like a competing almost like to see who can give the biggest wow moment. Walking into Gringotts Bank and seeing the giant chandeliers and like the bank tellers and all the marble is really impressive. Being able to explore, the Hogwarts Castle in all the different areas we recognize is impressive. But I think this is taking it to another level, where we will use the Flu network to travel through a fireplace. And that in and of itself might be impressive. I'm thinking something like, I've mentioned the Enchanted Tales with Belle, where the mirror grows and you walk through it. And it's always impressive how they do it with like the laser and stuff. Walking into what might be a small fireplace, but on the other side is this massive fireplace. And there's multiple massive fireplaces all in a row. And there'll be some kind of effect where it curves on the other direction, so you don't go that way. And if you watch the movies, you can see this long entry, flu entry into the Ministry of Magic. This hallway goes on forever. Sure. So I just imagine like they're doing a clever force perspective turning curve where it goes on forever, but then you turn around and you face where you're heading, and it is an atrium, like where the big statues are, and the paper airplane letters fly by, 5 stories tall, indoors, with office windows like going on forever into the sky, and huge 20-foot statues in a fountain right in front of you. The scale, it's hard to describe how we're going to feel seeing this scale, because there's no comparison. Like, I don't think there's an attraction where the entry...
The movie.
Yeah, exactly. There's no attraction where the entry into it is this big. And maybe Rise of the Resistance is the only comparison you could think of, because you're going from this tiny little ship, you exit out the same door you came in, and then there's this hangar bay filled with 100 stormtroopers, or 50 stormtroopers, and that giant window. And that giant window is impressive. I think these statues will be impressive. I think... the idea that like this space feels like it goes on forever, just like in the movies, is going to be technologically impressive. And that all of that is before we even get to the actual queue.
Do you think, I don't even know where to start with that. Do you think they're going to pulse like entry into this thing so that like there's like an actual moment where you feel like you're in the Flu network versus just like constantly being able to walk right through it? And like what I'm saying is like, do you think they're going to be like, here's a group of 10, here's some smoke and flames, I'll go through it? Like, Yes?
That's what I think, like Enchanted Tales with Belle, I think it's going to be somewhat smaller, intimate groups so that you don't see the effect before it's your turn.
Wow.
There is in the site plans what looks to be exterior covered queue just to get into the building. So very much like Rise of the Resistance, I think we're going to wait in line, then go into the building, and then have to go get back into line.
Okay, so there is like a queue before you even get to this point. So yeah, it's very Rise in that sense, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think so. And there might be even you might even consider that like pre-show 1, just the Flu Network moment, because it will be smaller groups of people, and there is multiple fireplaces. So capacity wise, you can always have multiple entry points happening at the same time. So you'll be split, like go to room 1, go to room 2, go to room 3, go to room 4, and those are all fireplaces that take you into this hallway, so that they're always letting people in.
Do you think it's still Rise even from that point? Like, let's say like you go through the Flu Network, you have this grand opening or this grand reveal, and then you're kind of like being ushered by somebody like in that room, like, okay, move on. Because like, you know, at Rise, like they don't want people lingering in that room. Do you think it's kind of like a similar type of vibe where it's like, we need you over here, like, and then like they put you into a line or something?
I haven't really thought about it, and it's possible. But I also think that they're going to let you linger a little bit more than you would in Rise because of the space. They probably won't let you linger in front of the fireplace, but they'll probably let you linger a little bit more in the atrium. Sure. I would love to see like a little pastry stand, like a little tea stand like you have in the movies in the atrium. Like I would love to see, because people are on their way to work. It's like Grand Central in here. Like I would love to see like really go for it and let people get a snack, or benches for people who don't want to ride but do want to go through the atrium. I wonder if like they'll let you just sit there and chill. That's
what I was wondering. Like, are they going to let this be just an additional part of the land in that sense, or is it literally just a part of the queue where this is just a means to an end? We need to get through here to the next part of the line.
I think based on the plans, it looks like the fireplaces have one side for entry and one side for exit. So they got to have that area clear. So I'm thinking you might be onto something. They might be trying to get people out of that area so that more people can come in.
Yeah.
But what's great about it is that it looks like the traffic of all the people coming to work, just like in the movies.
Yeah. I just want to know if we're going to walk into, Dumbledore and Voldemort like mid battle in the middle of this thing.
No, I think it's a bustling day at work. I don't think we're quite there yet, or we're past that, and this is after those events.
Sure.
I think that's why we're going to get the big statues with the wizard and the other characters. Is it a centaur? I don't think we're going to get the big single pillar from earlier toward the end of the series. I think we're back to the original statues. That's just a guess. Based on the timeline, it could be entirely new statues, actually, because this is supposed to take place after the Harry Potter series. There's a rumor we would pass through, when we do get into the queue at the back of the atrium, there's a rumor that we would pass through different areas of the ministry, different offices, and one of them was Umbridge's office, which is interesting because Umbridge is said to be the villain, the bad guy of this attraction, but it's said to take place after the Harry Potter stories. So she's supposedly on trial for her crimes. I guess they just haven't cleared out her office yet, so we get to see all the meowing kitties on the wall.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I'm still caught up in like how you were talking about like the scale of this area too. Like I'm still nerding out about it. I know we've already kind of moved on, but I'm still nerding out about the scale. Do you think? I mean, when we see something like the movie, obviously the scale is grand, scale is amazing, could be super comparable to that, and it could just feel straight out of the movie. But I want to compare it like to actually something tangible that we've seen before. In terms of like something like Rise, do you think that size and that scale in terms of like how tall that first WoW building is, is that the kind of size that we're looking at? Or are we looking at something that might even be even bigger and more grand than even in that room?
I'm not sure how tall that building is, but I think, because this is right next to the theater, I think we're looking at 5 stories minimum for the height of the atrium.
Got it.
It actually looks a little taller at the back of it, so I think there might be some kind of forced perspective gag to make it look like the offices keep going up beyond our view. So like whatever 5 stories is, I think that's what I that's my go-to measurement, because that's in the actual permits. For that theater next door, which is the same height as the atrium. And then the area at the back of the atrium is even taller. So I think there's going to be some kind of gag. I have a theory. I put it in a video recently. I have a theory that they might even do like a Born Stuntacular LED screen at the back of this area.
Ooh.
Because if you look at the like clip in the movie, there's like this arch, and then the offices keep going beyond this arch. And there's this area in the site plan in the actual permits that looks like it's behind an arch, and it keeps going, but then just stops, and it goes out, extends out to the sides, left and right, but then just stops as a dead end. And I'm like, if this is a like big giant screen behind the arch, and they have offices that go on forever on the screen, on a giant LED screen, because the Bourne screen is very realistic if you're looking at it from a distance. And if they did do that, it would be a way to incorporate the memos flying as paper airplanes in the background of what you're seeing. So you see like the big physical statues, and you see the big wizard statue set behind this big arch, and then you see the offices behind it. It would look like the memos are flying behind the physical statue. If I was going to do it, that's the way I'd do it. I think that the LED screen in Bourne is like really impressive. And to add fire to my theory,
nice.
Tate Towers Incorporated, who did the screen for Bourne Stuntacular, is listed as a contractor for this land. I'm just saying.
Yeah, like what else, right?
They're also listed as a contractor for the Dragon's Land, but there's a stage show there, which has a big screen in the back, just like on Trainable in Beijing. So like that makes sense. And there is a stage show in this land in Wizarding World. So I'm not going to like go 100% in on it. They could be doing something stage related for that. They do lots of stage stuff. They do moving set pieces like on Bourne, but they also do the LED screen like on Bourne. So who knows? But it could be cool if they do.
The screen tech is super impressive. So even if it does end up just being another stage edition, or if it ends up being this to like complement an actual like, scenic environment, not in a show, like I'm excited for either at this point. But man, how cool would it be if that's how they're going to pull off some extra perspective and even add some like, animated elements to like something. I don't know if we've ever really seen.
It would be even more. It'd be even more like Rise of the Resistance. Instead of TIE fighters flying by outside a window, right. We have the paper airplanes flying by.
Now you're really onto something. That's funny. Yeah, I didn't even consider that. That's a good point.
But we haven't even gotten to the ride yet, and it's probably best that we talked about this because we know more about this than we do the actual ride.
Sure. So what do we know about the ride?
What we think we know about the ride, we think it uses the same ride vehicle base as the Spider-Man ride or Transformers ride. We think that it might incorporate elevators. One of the plans shows what looks to be the rotunda of elevators, of lifts from the Ministry of Magic, which in the films and the stories go in multiple directions. They're full on Wonkavaders. They go forward, backward, up, down. It really looks to me.
Through the ceiling. No, I'm joking.
Well, no, they don't do that. Only Wonkavaders do that. It really looks to me like the rotunda of lifts, and even the plans call it a rotunda for the load area of this attraction. So. And there were rumors earlier on that an earlier iteration of this would feature the lifts that take you in different directions, but it was going to use a suspended ride system.
Yeah.
But I think the suspended ride system would have been limited to going up and down only. And I think this is a way for like Transformers to park into a lift and go up and down, or even have some kind of like, some have suggested, what if it has like a scissor lift built into the motion base? Where like you could go up and down in anywhere in the ride building. And I guess that's possible, but it would be so much easier to just go into because Transformers has elevators, but you're not supposed to know you're in an elevator. So it would be interesting to have that technology where you're going up and down and you can see like set pieces going below you and above you. But also patents talk about projection mapping that's adaptable, that would make it look like you're traveling much, much further. So while you're only going up and down 5 or so stories, which is still a lot, or 2 or 3, depending on the usage of space inside that area, it's supposed to look like you're going up and down lots more, but much more believable than something like the Gringotts elevator that is like a pre-show, where this one can project onto moving objects and changing objects. It sounds exactly like the end scene for Runaway Railway with the factory turning into the park on the Mickey and Minnie ride, where they take tangible foreground elements and project onto them so that you see a depth of field in front of you.
Well, let me ask you this. Instead of comparing it to Transformers, let's compare it to the other scoop ride that actually has a moment like this, and you're supposed to know you're going up. the Spider-Man ride, you float up. So how is this different than that?
Oh, see, like that's a good point because that has the like windows that go by, and that's projections.
Yeah.
Those are flat. They're at an angle, and there's multiple angles of depth, so that's pretty good. They were originally just lights that projected in a window shape, going by like a stencil, but now they're actually projectors. They've upgraded it so you can see like people in the windows, like silhouetted.
Nice,
they finally upgraded it. It would be like that, but more different depths and right in front of you, and it can stop or go past actual characters, so it's not just silhouette gags in yellow windows, but like it's taking it in a more flesh direction, like actual tangible things. You could be passing by offices, see people waiting for the different elevators, or different characters, or the characters that are chasing us could even be seen as we're flying by them and then start following us in the lift.
Do you think this would feel like a little more physical, something like a Tower of Terror, even like not as physical, but still physical, like in Rise of the Resistance when that ride finally drops? Just because even like going back to my Spider-Man comparison, like there's drops and raises, but I don't really feel it like in my stomach or just like in general. It feels like I'm kind of just floating there, and I know I'm rising, but I don't really feel like I'm rising.
I feel it on Transformers when he says if he wants the All-Spark, he can have it. That's when the elevator starts going down. I feel it there. Yes. It's supposed to be like the falling gag, but it happens 5 seconds before the falling starts, so I always feel it right there. I would assume you're supposed to feel it, like it's supposed to be a part of the story, but that's not the whole story. That's only several moments throughout the story. There's still the actual like rooms, big giant rooms, and I know they're big giant rooms because we saw it under construction and we see it in the plans. I think I would compare this to Spider-Man Transformers mixed with Jurassic World Adventure for tangible things, because Jurassic World Adventure in Beijing is the same ride vehicle. But now mix that with going up and down, and you get something completely new. I don't see 3D glasses. Just like Jurassic World Adventure, there's no need for 3D glasses because a lot of stuff is tangible and the screens are wraparound. When there are screen moments, it's curved instead of flat like Spider-Man. But also there's new technology for animatronics. I don't know how, I hope they pull it off, but there's rumors that they're going to use projection mapping on animatronics. And not like the rear projected glow LED screens of like Frozen Ever After. I think this is projection mapping onto like shaped people with like faces. And they're supposedly the projection map is supposed to follow the characters even while they walk and move around. So
we are expecting animatronic people in this ride?
Yes.
Okay, what?
Not just animatronic people, animatronic creatures too. There's also rumors of like some fantastic beasts. We're going to
This is Rise.
At one point, we're supposed to pass through the Department of Magical Creatures, and I guess the bad guy or the good guys let some out, maybe to help save the day, and we're going to be chased by one large bull creature. I already forgot what the name of it was, but like
it's like a rhino. It's a wizarding rhino. Let's call it that.
Yeah, wizarding rhino is supposed to chase us. And a rumpant. And this rumor is based on the chasing Indominus scene from the Universal Beijing ride, where you literally like go around in a full circle while an animatronic chases you. I've called it a murderous carousel. And I think,
can we go back to the people though? Like, what? Hold on. Like, A, when has Universal done this? And B, what animatronic people are we expecting?
Well, like we've had
E.T., like, right?
Yeah, exactly. We've had. Think of the different Wizarding World attractions. Like Forbidden Journey, to incorporate people, they took footage like of Hermione like throwing the flu powder and Hermione like on a Musion thing in the forest. Like the forest isn't safe. Hold on tight. Like and at the end there's just a big flat like screen with like it changes viewpoint as we pass by it, but it is very flat. Of course they added 3D to it, but everyone was puking, so they took it away. But it was a flat screen of the Great Hall, and like Dumbledore says return to us anytime, and there's like all the characters waving goodbye. They want to incorporate the real actors. I get it.
Sure.
Then we end up with like the Gringotts, which is 3D. I think it's a better incorporation of the characters. It feels very tangible. Like when they turn into, like when they apparate and turn into fire and Voldemort flies in front of you, it always feels very real to me, like they're really there. Sure. But I know it's a big giant dome screen. This is an opportunity to take projections of the actors themselves and project it onto a walking animatronic character. In physical space that we could spin around in our ride vehicles and see in front of us, not on a flat screen, not on a curved screen, but now in real life.
Do you think that'll look better than something like, you know, a Finn or a Kylo Ren or whatever kind of animatronic that was built on Rise? Like, will this method for plastering a face actually look better? Because I'm just thinking of something like, you know, like Buzz Lightyear in his queue.
Right,
or something like that.
Right. That's what I'm really worried. I see what the vision is here, but I'm confused. Like, are you going to be able to pull it off? But this isn't projecting from inside the head, I think. It's literally projecting like it was a screen. I'm reminded of the moment where Kylo Ren jumps out in front of you and walks towards you with the lightsaber right before you get into the elevator. Yeah. That is like a moving cutout that's moving towards you with a projection on the front of it. And then the lightsaber is actually a physical arm. And it's like waving back and forth. And it's such a good mix of projection and a physical object that it sells it more than a screen. Like you don't know what's real and what's not. And it sells it very well. Maybe it'll be more like that, but in 3D. It's projecting it onto a physical form, not just a flat screen, even though it's shaped like a person.
But we don't know what characters to expect.
No, I mean, the rumor is Umbridge is the bad guy here. Umbridge and the Death Eaters. Umbridge is being broken out while she's on trial. And these rumors come from older versions of the ride. So I don't know what survived the final version. I think that Jurassic World Adventure shook things up within the company, and it proved that you could do a lot with this ride system. And the suspended version was going to be very limiting. So they kind of changed a lot of their plans. But before the suspended version, this was being planned as a trackless ride to be an expansion for Diagon Alley. Wow. So the trackless version was much smaller in scale and scope. And that's where these rumors come from. That Umbridge was the bad guy, and it was supposed to tie into the Diagon Alley London area. So I do wonder if we're getting an updated story or if it still takes place after the events. She's on trial, the Death Eaters break her out, and then she supposedly wants to bring Voldemort back to life, which is interesting because it would be extending the Wizarding World stories of Harry Potter beyond the films and stories. Yeah. And giving us an in-between story before Cursed Child that we get to experience only in this theme park. And that Harry Potter fans, if they want to see this new chapter, have to come here and be a part of it themselves.
I mean, diehard listeners know I like my analogies, and they know I like trying to figure out what the parks are doing, actually from like a business and behind the scenes standpoint. Knowing what we know about this and everything that we've just discussed, from the grand entry to actually having physical walking animatronics of both animals and people in the ride, to just new technologies that are being incorporated, to even like we were talking about in the queue, like using the Bourne screen in the backdrop being similar to, like, you know, how Rise uses the massive screen to have the TIE fighters and things on the ride. A lot of comps in terms of like not only the process of going through this queue and then the actual ride itself, in terms of, you know, new and innovative technology and doing things out of the box for Universal that feel almost one-to-one to Rise in some ways. I mean, obviously there's some differences, but there's a lot of things you're like, hey, that's Rise. Hey, that's Rise. Hey, that's Rise. Is this, because everybody all this time said that Mario Kart was supposed to be the answer to Rise, and now that we saw Mario Kart, I think it's obvious that that was not the plan. Like, that was not Universal's shot at Rise. Is this the shot at Rise?
I mean, it's going to obviously be compared to it. I think everyone's going to see elevators and giant, impressive moment in the middle of the queue. I think people are going to automatically, like, different ride system and different, disciplines being combined together. It's going to feel very much like their answer to Rise. But this attraction's been in development from blue sky to actual, like, development and designing and even multiple ride system changes over the last 10 years. So I think maybe, if anything, Rise of the Resistance changed how they were going to do the ride. Right around the same time, they were canceling all of their trackless rides because Universal had a bad taste in their mouth after Skull Island, I think. And they were going to do Secret Life of Pets as trackless. They were going to do this as trackless. They were going to do the Minion Blast over in Universal Studios Florida as trackless, the Villain Con. Like, everything was going to be trackless. And then they had all these like Wi-Fi issues, and they're like, forget it. We don't even need trackless anymore. We'll do Fast and Furious because we already started building it, and then we're done. So they had to switch this. But I think, they should have just been done then. I think that, if anything, Rise of the Resistance made them look at their trackless concept and realize they were actually limiting themselves. That the way that the ride was being designed with these giant round puck type trackless vehicles from Oceaneering or whatever, they were limiting the size of how, like, where the ride vehicle could pass through. They're limiting the scale of the scenes. They're limiting, like, things that they don't have to worry about with Transformers or Spider-Man, like going through a small doorway. Suddenly the doorway has to be bigger. And I think that, if anything, they changed it to be more exciting. And that they're like less open spaces, more intimate moments, more being chased by a giant rhino, things that you might not have been able to do without a track. And then also the not having to worry about the suspended ride system and going to what they do best with this ride vehicle and really focusing on the storytelling and the visuals. Like, this isn't another 3D screen ride. This is going to be something completely new, even though the ride vehicle might be the same motion base. Also, I don't think it's going to look like it. Jurassic World Adventure still looks like the Scoop to me, just like a convertible version with no walls on the side. This one, I think that the motion base may be the same, but we're starting off in an elevator. All bets are off on what this thing will look like.
Yeah, is it just going to look like an elevator shaft? Or like what?
I don't know. In the original trackless one, it was a section of a courtroom, and we were all seated around the courtroom. We would take our seats in the courtroom, and then up from the bottom in the cage would be Dolores Umbridge on trial. Yeah. And then from there, the Death Eaters would break her out, and our pews of seating in the courtroom would break apart into 3 sections, and we would travel together in 3 different ride vehicles that were just the actual courtroom seating we were seated in to start the attraction, which is a great concept. It's so clever.
Awesome. But that's awesome.
Just like Ratatouille, when you're playing to 3 ride vehicles, you can't play intimately to one group, and you have to share focus with all 3, and you lose some of the personalization you get with having a ride vehicle that is just your group. So I think they went in a better direction because now they can have more story.
So this ride starts by walking into an elevator. This is Tower of Terror.
That, I mean, everyone's going to assume it is if you're walking into an elevator, but I think maybe by this point, they would have tricked you into thinking you're going to the ride 3 times by now. Like, this is Rise of Resistance. Like, how many pre-shows are they going to trick us with just in their version? Like, you think you're going to go on the ride, in the flu, in the thing, and then you have to go back into the queue. There might be another pre-show in the offices. There might be another pre-show before the elevators. I don't know. But yeah, I think when you go and sit down in an elevator, you're going to finally be like, oh, I'm on the ride now. But once you leave the elevator bay, what are we riding in? I'm not sure.
It's kind of interesting to think too. It would be similar in the sense of you would be entering an elevator and probably sitting down immediately, right? Versus a normal elevator where you're standing something like that. It's
all those commercials for Tower of Terror lied to us, and you're not actually standing up.
Exactly. Now I was going to say, is this? And I don't know if Universal is purposely trying to do one for this park, but is this the flagship? Is this the ride where people are going to walk out of the park and this is the one that they're going to point to and remember? Or is that just me getting overly excited about a comparable ride to Rise of Resistance?
I'm sure there were people in Universal Creative at the time when they were doing Islands of Adventure who certainly did not think that Spider-Man was going to be the big one.
Sure.
The team working on Spider-Man knew they were working on something special, that this has never been done before, that they're having moving vehicles in a 3D ride.
Yeah.
Usually you lock your seats down when you have 3D. No one thought this would even work, let alone be the breakout star of the park. I'm sure they thought Dueling Dragons went early in development, and then maybe the Hulk was going to be the thing. And everyone knew that the anchor was Jurassic Park. All the marketing was about Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was moved, the plans from Universal Studios Florida to Islands of Adventure to be the anchor at the back of this park. You enter the park, the first thing you see is the visitor center. It was going to be what got people through the door. Mario Kart's going to get people through the door, but there's probably going to be a breakout star that takes all of the like actual attention away, just like Spider-Man did. It could be this Ministry of Magic attraction. It could be the Universal Monsters attraction. There's still a lot of technology and surprises in store for both those attractions. I'm not ready to call it yet. I'm not sure.
I wonder internally if they've even called it themselves or have tried to, or have been like, this is the one where most of our efforts. I mean, I know obviously reception doesn't always go hand in hand with the one that you put your most eggs into, but I really wonder internally like what that project is for them, or if they even have one at this point.
Let's look at it this way. There's rumors right now, and I want to shoot those rumors down, but there's rumors right now that there were budget cuts at Epic Universe, and the exact opposite is true. They put $100 million more into the Universal Monsters ride, the e-ticket over there. They've changed the whole design for the Ministry of Magic attraction and the ride system to be better. These are not cuts to the rides. These are improvements. And I think if you see an investment in something like Universal Monsters where they're adding money to it to make it better, I don't see that as because it was like a lost cause and it was already going to be bad and they're trying to fix it. They wouldn't be saving face by putting that much money into it. I think they're trying to plus it because they see the potential in it. So
yeah. I mean, it's like you're building a forever thing, right? It's like it's not like you're building something that's going to have like a 4-year run and then done. Like you're building something that you hope is going to thrive and be successful forever. So
right.
It's like, why wouldn't you get it right?
Right. And there's some tricks that I hear murmurs about in the Monsters one that make me think this might be my favorite. And then I hear some new technologies being incorporated into the Potter one, and I think this might be my new favorite. And I'm not ready to call it yet because they're both equally intriguing to me, having only known little, like maybe at best we know 50% of what these attractions are, maybe less. And that's exciting too.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get there. And by getting there, there's going to be places to stay.
Yes.
You
Before we wrap up, we don't have to get too deep into it because we'll have lots of time to talk about this as they're just starting on the third one now. But there are 3 hotels planned for Epic Universe. The one at the back of the park, which is technically known as Project 910, might be named Universal's Helios Grand Hotel.
That's the star, right? Like that is, of all of the hotels, that is the focal point in terms of what people care about.
I think this is probably going to be like the Lowe's hotel brand, the company that makes that runs and operates the hotels at the Universal Orlando Resort. They are a luxury hotel brand. And I bet they're excited to finally build a luxury hotel at Universal Orlando because that's what this is. This is a 500-room, 10-story hotel with a rooftop bar, another dining location inside, a pool area, a parking garage. It's right at the back of the park. It has its own security entrance and turnstiles into the park, and it's gorgeous. It is going to be beautiful. It has to be beautiful because it's visible from everywhere inside the central part of this park. You're entering the park right at the back of the park. It's not, this isn't Cinderella Castle.
What marketing for this
hotel? It's a
hotel.
hotel.
Like, I couldn't imagine a family, especially like kids, seeing this and not wanting to stay at it.
Yeah, you see these windows overlooking the theme park. You have a window overlooking all of the lands of the park, and you want to go there. You want to stay there. And it looks just as beautiful on the other side when you enter, driving in from the back entrance and parking in the parking garage and entering the front of this hotel. It's just as stunning with views over.
Have we really seen that in I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm just thinking, have we really seen that in America yet?
I don't think so. The closest thing would probably be the California hotel. Is that
and even that's like not
the
really
Disneyland resort. Yeah, you have a little bit of a view, like a California Adventure over there, and you have like a little
it's
entrance.
like certain rooms, certain sections, and it's like it's whatever.
Even the back rooms of this hotel have a view of the other side with Universal Orlando Resort in the distance and downtown Orlando over to the right. Like you'll still have a view of Orlando, but nothing compared to the other side of the hotel with the view of the park, which would probably cost twice as much money. If the monorail line 7 Seas Lagoon hotels have taught me anything, is that if you're close to Magic Kingdom and have a view of it, you're going to be paying a lot of money.
It's going to be expensive. So does that also mean that you're expecting this to be the best hotel and company for Universal right now?
I think this is going to be like its own tier. I think this is going to be a tier unto itself above the top tier now, which is the Hard Rock, the Portofino, and the Royal Pacific.
Yep.
But because of that, I wonder if it is going to get free express. It's one thing to get early entry to the parks, but you still have to take a boat to get to the parks. Imagine early entry to the park and you're already at the park. Like that,
not bad.
That's a pretty good perk. And because they have a whole new theme park opening with a whole new theme park's worth of capacity, then you can add more express to the hotels because you've now opened up more express entries to the theme parks. Like they've kept the 3 hotels as the only free express so far. So I feel like this would be a great opportunity to add a 4th finally to get free express for all the parks because they're adding all this capacity.
Universal's about to make a lot of money.
And that's just the 500 room like actually attached to the theme park, but there's 2 other hotels with 750 rooms each across the street from the park, and these are very close. These are like closer than you would think for another Universal Resort hotel. These are projects 912 and 913. They're right at the corner of Universal Boulevard and what will be the extended Kirkman Road, but that is like adjacent to the Universal, they renamed it the Epic Boulevard, which will take you directly to the park. So like if you were to take a shuttle bus from this hotel to Epic Universe, that shuttle bus would be there in less than 2 minutes because it would have to wait at a red light and then it's there. That's how close these are. And if there wasn't a red light, you'd be there instantly. It's just across the street. And these are rumored to be named, what was the trademarks? Universal's Stella Nova Resort? No relation.
Yep, that is your resort.
And Universal's Terra Luna Resort. And they're building the 912 right now. And it is gorgeous. It is the same company, Finfrock, who built the Endless Summer Resorts. So it is being built very fast as they just like take these preformed concrete pieces and just lift them into place. And this is like a 10-story building, like going up in a matter of weeks. But I love that the windows are rounded. They look like space portholes. Like, I love that it's so, like, because it's Stella Nova. It's got to be, like, spacey, right?
Hey, I'm sure you want to check out Helios, but if you don't have a room, or at least you're heavily checking out Universal Stella Nova Resort, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Like, I can't afford Helios.
It's in the name.
I can't afford it. But I can afford Stella Nova. That's going to be my jam.
Could there be any other? I need a picture of you outside of by the logo. Like I need it all.
I will. I'm not sure which one will be which. I hope it's the one that's slightly closer to the park, so I'd have a better view. But I am definitely opening night. I am at Stella Nova. You better believe it.
Yes. That's awesome. It has those little like spaceport holes that I've seen people like going crazy about. Obviously, nothing like crazy thematically that we know of at this point, right? Like in terms of like we're not bringing like an IP yet.
No, I honestly. I've been saying just like Endless Summer is like surfy or whatever, like surf, like it's literally Endless Summer, and it's like casual, laid back, relaxed, and a chill like thing. I think this will be like that, but space themed. I'm thinking like retro Cabana Bay, but space. Like I want 1950s style, like sci-fi type imagery. While the theme park itself is very serious, and the Grand Helios is very luxury, upscale, and ornate and beautiful. I want this one to be fun and like retro sci-fi. I really want that.
I keep going to like that end room at Men in Black vibe, like that kind of like aesthetic. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yes. There's even the Universe in You has like that Atom look, like the 1950s Atom look. I swear one of the site plans had that in the parking lot for the Stella Nova or Terra Luna Resort.
Oh, it's like a Men in Black hotel.
Yeah, it's a Men in Black hotel. It's very retro, spacey theme. But there's also like. Since we started talking about this, there's been an announcement that Marriott is building proposing a hotel, a W hotel, branded hotel.
Nice. Right
next to 912. Like there's some apartments that's like 913, 912 apartments, new hotel for Marriott.
Yeah.
And that is directly across the street from the parking lot for Epic Universe. So this will be just as close. If not closer, depending on how you get there from Destination Parkway right to Epic Boulevard.
Yes.
So this one Also, it's going to have 400 rooms. This one is also a luxury hotel.
But not park owned, of course.
No, this is not affiliated directly with Universal.
Yes.
Yet they hope to have a conversation to see if they can get in on some of those perks, but you gotta battle Lowe's for that, so we'll see. At best, they'll have a shuttle entry. You know, they're gonna have free transportation across the street to the park. But this hotel is interesting because it's gonna have a music venue built in, so it's gonna attract people on its own. Even if you're not staying at the hotel, they'll be having concerts at this like hotel property, and it's essentially it looks like a Vegas hotel to me. I think that's it's beautiful. It's only 400 rooms, but it's 22 stories tall. It's this beautiful tower.
W hotels are very nice,
right? So just like the Grand Helios, I think this is a luxury. Like this is part of the W Hotel brand. It's very adult friendly. It's very upscale. Like they'll have 2 pools, and one of them is already being announced as a grown up only pool.
I'm curious how Universal feels about this.
I think, it's, I hope it's not visible from the park. 22 stories is pretty tall.
Are you telling me I'm going to be at Nintendo and see a different building now?
No, hopefully Nintendo's far enough away. Okay. Hopefully Nintendo's far enough away. I'm worried about dragons. How to Train a Dragon. You're going to be walking toward the theater. Hopefully that theater building blocks your view enough. They actually swapped
see a massive
the
W
order.
In the sky.
Yeah, there might be. It depends on how far away it is, and I have to put up some CG models and see what I see. But it's possible the top 2 floors of that might be peeking up over the theater when you're inside Dragon's Land. They just have to plant some really tall trees.
How ironic that would be for Universal if it was another company to come in and mess up some sightlines at this point.
I don't think it's gonna be too bad. If anything, maybe put some more rock work on top of the theater building because it's supposed to look like a cliff anyway. I think they can get away with that. It's not too bad, but it has been already, the site plan has already been approved by the county, so it looks like it's going to be a go. They want to start breaking ground by the end of the year, but there's no opening date announced yet. I just thought it was really interesting that not only do we have the 3 hotels by Universal for Epic Universe, like being built by Universal and run by Lowe's, but now we have others already ready to pop up. And it's not just it's not the usual fare that we see around here. Like this is something usually we see around Disney. We see these luxury hotels popping up closer to the other family vacation area. The iDrive hotels, the lower you go to the Orange County Convention Center, the more business you get. The higher you go up toward Universal, the more family friendly, budget friendly you get. Yeah. We have some Westgate resorts and some timeshares, but this is a new era. We're getting the upscale resorts.
I checked out that 4 Seasons that was just built there on my last trip, and oh my God. Do you know what I'm talking about? The one that's right next to Disney?
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what we're used to seeing down there. It's interesting to see it now starting to pop up here. And I think that really gives you an idea of what businesses think for the future of Epic Universe is going to do to this area.
Now, where, I don't know if people are going to laugh at this question or troll me or what, but where is our Star Cruiser? I know the reception is what it is, a Star Cruiser, but where is Universal's at this point?
Are we sure we want, are you sure a company would purposely want to do that?
It doesn't have to be a cruise experience, but where is our overly themed hotel experience to an IP of Universal's choosing that? Because again, I know there were rumblings, some people said I wonder if there's going to be a Nintendo hotel and this, that, and the other. Where is the themed hotel in conjunction to this?
Oh, we've mentioned it before. If I was to put money on it, I would say Nintendo themed suites at Project 912 or 913 hotels is probably the best you're going to get, because Universal views their hotels as a place to relax in between the parks. They view it as, there's a reason that all their recent hotels have been themed around leisure and themed around relaxing by the beach and themed around, a retro beach vacation at Cabana Bay, or a retro, chilling by the beach at Surfside or Dockside, or even the technologically advanced Aventura. It's still got a very chill atmosphere inside, and it's all about if you go to dine at the Urban Pantry down there, it's just very chill and modern. It's relaxing. I don't think they want to throw us into some space battle and make us work for thousands of dollars, because they want us to go to the theme parks and have fun and then go back to the room and just chill with a nice view of Volcano Bay out, the window or something. I don't think they're in the business of doing that. And if they were, it'd be in the theme park.
That makes sense. I wonder if there's been some consumer insight or consumer learning there where they're like, hey, people are just so exhausted spending over 12 hours of their day walking over 10 miles and beating themselves up, that on the day they're either not going or when they get home they want to take a load off. They don't need to be in they don't need to be at the Grand Hall of Harry Potter anymore. Like, they want to be by a beach. Like, I wonder if there's actually like been some case studies learning. I mean, obviously there must be if they're doubling down on that, but
yeah, and I think it also comes down to how they operate. They don't operate their own hotels. Lowe's does. And Lowe's is in the business of creating like these types of chill resorts. They normally only do the upscale resorts, which is why something like Endless Summer or Cabana Bay doesn't even say Lowe's on it. It says Universal's. And I think like that's because they don't want to even slap their name on it, because they run these luxury hotels. But Universal doesn't run the hotel. So if they did something like that, like a LARPing hotel, it wouldn't be under the Lowe's branding. And I'm not even sure if they're allowed to do that because of whatever contract they have with Lowe's. I'm just guessing out loud here. They might not even be allowed. And there's always been lots of rumors that the rights holders for Harry Potter didn't allow them to do a hotel. They were thinking about it for Diagon Alley, a luxury, like not luxury, but like a boutique hotel with just small rooms near Leaky Cauldron. And supposedly they were turned down by the rights holders. So if anything, I still believe they have Minions themed rooms and Jurassic World themed rooms at the existing some of the existing hotels. And I bet you we see Nintendo themed rooms at the new hotels, maybe How to Train Your Dragon or other DreamWorks properties at one of the hotels. And those themed suites, are more money, a couple $100 extra a night just for the theming, but also don't interfere with the chill relaxation of the rest of the resort.
That's right, guys. I think that's going to wrap up today's episode. If you guys want to catch more of Alicia Stella, she has the Theme Park Stop by Alicia Stella on YouTube. She has the Park Stop podcast as well, and she is Alicia Stella on Twitter. If you guys are looking for more from the Theme Park Shark, you can find our podcast on Apple and Spotify. We are at themeparkshark.com, and of course, the Theme Park Shark on YouTube. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode of Shark Stop. As always, I appreciate you guys being here and for listening and or watching. Take care, have a great day, and we'll see you guys in the next one.